lovers, it's Jenny at Julia Baby Jen's Reading Room with a few guest booktubers, and we're going to talk about Slip. Alright, so Slip is David Estes' new dystopian that we all had the privilege of reading as an ARC. And it will be released soon, and we decided we wanted to talk some more about it because it is fabulous. A fabulous, fabulous book, and we had to talk about it. So first of all, I guess the premise of Slip is that we have a futuristic society in the U.S. where a disaster has happened, rising sea levels, and we have a whole bunch less land mass available, and so a whole bunch of people have died. And this is several years after the disaster. They don't have enough resources for the population, and so the government has taken over and indoctrined population growth principle into the society. And basically, to be born, someone else has to die. So any couple that would like to have children receives a death match of either an elderly person or someone who's expected to die soon, like someone who's sick. And when that person dies, they can then have their child. So that's the premise of this society. Michael Kelly is one of the main characters, and he is the head of this government agency that controls the population. It's called PopCon. And they basically are in charge of finding any unregistered children. Unregistered children under the age of 2 are called unbees, and anyone who's over the age of 5 or over the age of 2 that's unregistered is called a slip, and that's where the title comes from. And he has a slip as a son. He has 2 sons, one that's legal and one that's not. And the slip is Benson, and he is trying to hide him, and that's kind of the premise of the book, I think. Does that give a good premise?
Yeah, that's a good premise. I think that's really good.
Okay. All right. So, and now I'm going to talk about my 2 guest tubers today. You might recognize this chick over here. This is Jen from Today in Jen's Library, one of my best friends ever. And this is our other really good best friend, Karen, who does not booktube, but she has joined us because she loves this book too.
Yeah.
So.
And I got forced into this.
Yes, and we made her do this.
Yes.
We are at Utopia. Got our cool t-shirts and our cool badges. We are here for the book convention this week, and this is actually how we all met. We just met this week in person. And so we're just so excited. So we've been in Nashville for a few days, and we're having so much fun.
Laughing our heads off.
Laughing.
Yeah.
Laughing.
Completely.
Laughing till it hurts.
Most of what we do is laugh.
I laugh in my sleep, apparently.
Pretty much. We can vouch for that.
Yes.
We can attest to that.
So that's why we're all here. And now we're going to talk some more about Slip. So, Karen, what did you think about Slip?
Well, I've known David for a long time, David Estes, the author, and by far I believe that this is probably his best book yet.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it, loved the concept, loved the characters, and can I talk about the fact that
Yes.
he named a character after me? So
If you want your last name in this video, yes, you may talk about it.
Okay. Benson is the main character, and this is the story of him starting as a little boy. And my last name is Benson, and David did tell me that he did name the character after me. So I have to give it a 2 thumbs up just for that fact.
And I agree with you, but it's not just about the name.
No.
And actually, Michael Kelly is named after 2 other street team members as well. There's
That's right.
Michael, and there's Kelly, and he used Kelly's last name. Her first name is Kelly. So we've got Michael and Kelly and Benson, and her dog is mentioned in this book as well.
My Molly made it.
As just a little sentence one-liner, but yes, there's a dog in the book. They mention a dog called Molly, which her dog is named Molly, and she talks about Molly all the time, so we know that it was named after Molly.
We think.
We're pretty sure. All right, so Jen, your turn. What do you think about Slip?
I've read a lot of what David has written. Not everything, not nearly as much as you, obviously. But the thing that distinguishes this book for me is that it is so mature in terms of his writing. He has really come into his own as a writer with this. I mean, we read a lot of dystopia. And all of us at the end, well, for one thing, there's a twist. And every one of, I mean, we read a lot of dystopia. And we know we can figure this stuff out. And we all went, what? Oh my gosh. So,
and it was so obvious when you knew what it was. It was like one of the best twists I've ever read because it made total sense. It just snuck right in there and just, it was amazing. And there was no and especially us two should have figured this out.
Yeah, we really should have.
We really should have.
But it really made sense. And so the character development was really, really well done. I think that's where he's really come a long way. I mean, he's not even, I shouldn't even say a long way. He's just, I read this and I thought this is ranking right up there with Divergent, with Hunger Games, with all of the popular dystopians that we've all read. I think this ranks right up there. And I think it's just the beginning of a series. And that just made me so excited because I think he can go all kinds of places with this. And if it's this well done at the beginning, it can just only get better.
That's right.
Yeah.
So impressive. Such an impressive book.
We'll talk about the writing here. I have to say that was one of the things that most impressed me in this book was the writing. The writing was extremely well done. Like it sounded like a published house book, basically. Like you went into a bookstore and picked up not all of them are good, but a really good published house book.
Yeah. It can hold its own on the shelves.
And it is an indie book. At least right now it's an indie book. So I thought that was amazing. The writing was just, some of the quotes were just so beautiful. There's just so much in that. And a lot of humor throughout it as well. It was a dark story, but there was enough humor to balance that, I thought.
Yeah.
So.
And it wasn't light dystopian. I mean, there was a fair amount. I mean, he went there. There's a character in there that's psychotic, and he does some really bad stuff. Yeah. And I think you need that weight. You need a little bit of that
light
to take it seriously.
A little bit of shock value so that you really can. And honestly, the premise was so inventive. I mean, really, I think it addresses a lot of current issues in our society today.
I think so too.
In terms of population control and how you handle that. Really, really well done.
Yeah, I would like to, in thinking with that, the world building. Now, the world building, it's a futuristic United States of America, and I had absolutely no trouble believing that it could be our future. There was little things in there that just, we almost have some of it now.
The technology was just unbelievable that he came up with.
It was really awesome and very believable, and it wasn't hard to grasp. I mean, none of it was over your head. Anybody could pick that up who reads.
Yeah. I thought that, he really captured that whole American thing, where we've walled off our borders, because one of the elements is the jumpers, the kids from Mexico that will come in. I don't know exactly how they did it.
And this is getting
kind of way that they fly in
reality.
And drop. Yeah. And
living in Arizona
that shoot them down.
Living in Arizona with the border walls and the things that they're starting to build. This is a plausible future.
Yeah, it really was.
Which was really
just lent a lot of credibility to the book. Made it that sense of realism that you really picked up on.
And how the tracking, how they everything was tracked through a retinal scan. Now we don't have that quite yet, but they do track us quite a bit. If you've been on the computer, you know this. As soon as you go to a site, all of a sudden, anywhere you go, you see these ads for similar products or that site itself. So anytime it tracks anything that you shop, and that was a lot of it. There was a lot of ads and pop-up ads, but they were like in front of you.
Holographic things that would assault you on the street.
When you walk down the street, because it recognized your retinol. No matter where you went, everybody knew who you were. So that's becoming very and I don't like how much you have to show your ID when you go somewhere anymore. Like if you want to buy NyQuil, you have to show your ID. I mean, things like that. It's really
up and coming.
Yeah, it was very in time with that, or in tone with that.
It also had a fair amount of stuff going on that it was, again, realistic. Like there's a character who did not have a great childhood, and there were some things that she encountered that, even in the foster care system today, and you got orphans, and, Benson doesn't know he's a slip.
Right.
He just knows he's a kid on the street. He has no idea really where he came from. So, the idea of kids on the street, I thought he captured that really, really well, that characterization.
Yeah,
the homeless children, the homeless kids.
In the building. Yeah.
Who was your favorite character?
I think it was Benson. I really liked him.
That was
really
mine
did.
too.
But
I really liked Benson.
Yeah.
I actually liked Janice, the mom.
Yeah, she was a close second.
Yeah.
She's Looney Tunes. She is crazy.
Janice, the mom, has no idea that Benson's still alive. Michael has lied to her that he was captured and killed. Because he doesn't want her to go looking for him, and he wants to give Benson a chance, and so he basically sets him loose. So Janice then basically, she was a little bit crazy before that, and she went off the deep end as soon as that happened. So I did really like Janice, and as a mom, I really related to a lot of that. Yeah. She was really cool. Benson, I loved. I thought he wasn't the most perfect character, but I just really did like him.
I know.
He
He's a
has
very,
flaws,
very
and
likable character.
He was very likable. He was a really good likable.
Yeah.
I also really liked Lucy, who's kind of the romantic interest. And one thing I want to mention is that romance is not a huge thing in this book.
No, I really appreciated that.
It's a really sideline little.
Just a really hint.
They're really too busy running for their lives, but so that part of it. But I did like that. They are teenagers, and so you're gonna have those romantic feelings.
It was so innocent. I mean, Benson is agonizing over whether or not to hold her hand.
Yes, it's
so
very
it's like
sweet.
very
It's very, very cute teenage first love type.
And
thing.
yet it's not juvenile.
No,
it's
not.
It's really not. It's not middle grade. No.
No. This book is definitely YA. Definitely YA.
And older YA at that.
I believe. Yeah. It gets it's pretty intense and dark. So we talked about Michael Kelly. Let's talk about Michael Kelly, because to me, he is the most interesting character in this book, because you have a man who is the head of this pretty sadistic, evil
government.
Well, he's not in charge of the government itself, but he's in charge of this agency in the government. So he is government. So he's in charge of, and he's responsible for basically killing children and their parents who are not registered. They're not called children because they're not really.
They're called
unbees. They're not legally children.
Yes.
So, but they're
unauthorized beings.
Yes.
So unbee is a shortened version of that.
So you have this man who's in charge of doing this, but yet at the same time he's got his own unlawful child, a slip, he's trying to hide, and then he has Harrison, who is the legal child, who basically he's an absentee father for pretty much all of Harrison's life. So what do you have to say about Michael?
Well, with Michael, I could absolutely feel his pain. I could feel his sorrow. I could feel everything that he was going through. And although I wasn't quite sure if I liked him or hated him, you really sympathized with him.
Oh yeah,
I did.
Very sympathetic. Yeah,
I did feel bad for him. Really, I did.
Yeah, because he's facing this moral dilemma, this lesser of whatever evils, and he has to maintain his authority, really, and in order to do that, he has to make some very difficult choices that cost the lives of some very innocent people, and he struggles, he agonizes, and so you kind of don't feel very sorry for him because. He's killing people.
He's killing children.
Yeah. And yet, you see this moral dilemma that he's facing. And it does make him very sympathetic.
Yes. He is a very conundrum. It's really hard to see how you feel about him. And it's like you said, the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
He is basically, you could call him an evil person for killing these and knowingly doing it.
But he's doing it to save
to save his family and to save his children. And
so what would you do?
So what would you do in his place?
It's one of those.
Choose the one or the many.
Yeah. And I would say that probably any good parent is going to kill the children and save their family.
Their child.
Because I mean, who wouldn't? I mean,
I did like his character in the end. I mean,
I did at the end. I really did. The end, he think
redeems himself.
He redeems himself quite a bit by the end. So I did like his character, although I've had this gray. And the other thing is that we don't really get into his head a whole lot through the book. Most of what we know from him is when Benson was little.
It's from Benson's point of view.
We get to see Benson's point of view and how he looks at his dad when he's very small, and that's how we kind of get to know Michael. And so that did make you feel more sympathetic for him because he was really struggling. So yeah.
And the book is told from multiple points of view.
It's a third-person narrative. The first part of it is told flip-flops between Benson when he's small, Harrison when he's small, and then Domino Destevin when he's small, who is a very important character later. And they all are very separate stories, and you don't know how they connect until later. And that was something I really loved. How it starts out very 3 separate stories that all converge and make sense at the very end. And, and I loved how that was
pulled off.
And then that twist.
So well done.
With the twist.
That twist.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
Yeah, and I guarantee you won't guess it either.
No. I really won't.
I really don't. It's so funny because it's so obvious.
It is once you
later, you know, when you go back and read it.
You're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I've read it twice. So yeah, I caught all the clues, but they are subtle. They're very subtle clues. It's very pulled off really well. All right, should we talk about Harrison?
Sure.
Let's talk about
Harrison.
Harrison.
Let's talk about Harrison. Now, Harrison, I have noticed people who've read it is the one that either people really like him or don't. And I was one of the ones who didn't really like Harrison. Yeah. I wanted to. At the beginning, I kind of did. And I did want to like Harrison quite a bit. But for some reason, he felt like a brat to me.
And he comes off very arrogant and just...
Yeah, I mean, he is the kid, stereotypical kid,
the athlete
who has everything except the dad,
except the father's love.
Can't even make it to the one.
Well, he doesn't have.
Game.
He doesn't have his mom either. His mom's locked up.
Right.
Oh,
Harrison's the brother of Benson. So
So Janice is in an asylum. So
So he's basically parentless. He's an orphan.
He's an orphan, basically, too.
Sort of. I mean, in all practicality, he's not an orphan, but
yeah, he kind of is, and that's where his problem is. And he's very intelligent.
And a good.
I think he's a good-natured person.
Yeah.
I don't think when you watch him in his high school, he's popular and he has that air of
straight A's,
kind of a jock.
Yeah, he has
that the football team kind of thing.
He has that confidence thing going, but he doesn't seem like he's stepping on anyone to get there either. I don't feel like he was. He's a good-natured kid. Yeah. I don't think he's a how some popular people are.
He's not a mean kid or a mean boy.
No, he's nothing
girl.
like that.
He's just arrogant.
Yeah, he's very arrogant. And just, kind of a brat at times. And just, I realize in his world it's important, but there are times where really important things are going on, and he's whining that his dad can't be at this game, and it's like, really? Yeah. You realize what's going on right now? I mean, really, of course, he didn't know anything that was going on, so it wasn't really his fault, which redeemed him a little bit, but yeah.
But he really does. Really, nothing prompts him to do this, but he really decides to, kind of man up.
He does,
as it were. Yeah,
I do like him at the end more.
He redeems himself as
right. He steps up and starts, takes a step of maturity.
Takes charge.
Yeah. He kind of matures. Yeah. Makes a big difference.
He does it, I think, for might necessarily not the right reasons, but he does man up, and I think as the series goes on, he will grow up more and be more the man he should be. I think he's headed that direction. Yeah. I rated it 5 stars.
I rated it 5 stars.
I rated it 10, but no, I gave it 5.
Okay, 5 out of 5 stars across the board here, and so this is one that if you like dystopian, especially sci-fi dystopian, this one is for you. And I will leave. Yeah, and I will leave a link below for the book on Amazon or on Goodreads. It does not Amazon yet. On Goodreads, so you can keep track of that, what's going on with that. I will also leave all of David Estes' information below as well, so you can follow him and chat with him. He is one of the most genuinely kind authors, good-hearted people I have ever met in my life. Anybody. But as an author, he does take an interest in his fans. So if you like that kind of an author,
he'll respond.
He will talk to you if you go talk to him on his Facebook.
And then there's the Goodreads group,
Yeah, which we're all part of. If you come find us on Goodreads, and we'll talk to you as well because we're wives, and Jen will talk to you too. Before we sign off, final thoughts on Slip, Karen.
Go get it.
Jen,
don't miss it.
Read it. We'll talk to you later. Bye.